And thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please, after reading the caption of the broadcast, kindly read the description of the broadcast as well, as usual, right? Like the broadcast, share it, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends. Tell every one of them to join us. It's free, by the way. And thank you so much if you have done all of that. So let's get started. 2026 is just 4 days into 2026, and it's already looking like it is going to be an eventful year. Yesterday, when the President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump, announced the arrest of the President of Venezuela, that is Nicolas Maduro, he is accused of, being a drug lord, the leader of the drug cartel, who have been accused as well of, smuggling all this poison into the United States of America, which has led to the death of many hundreds of thousands of Americans, according to the American government. But the rest of the world have received the news, differently. We've had those who have kind of like praised it. We have those who have condemned it. We also have those who are now actually panicking. One of them is Sheikh OsamaBin Gumi. He is the spokesperson for the hundreds, possibly hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of the terrorists operating in Nigeria. Gumi became famous, right, by gaslighting Nigerians, accusing them of, provoking disarmed terrorists. On the one hand, he blamed the government for not providing, basic amenities like education, healthcare, jobs, this, that, blah, 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 for disarmed terrorists. Therefore, he is an advocate of amnesty for terrorists, even though in that same Nigeria, right, under Boko, tens of thousands of these repentant terrorists have been put through a program called Operation Safe Corridor. Yeah, that's what they call them, the repentant terrorists. In that same Nigeria, this particular project never for once reduced the terrorism in Nigeria. Rather, it's kind of like emboldened a lot of them even more. So many people they became worried that Nigerian government continued to make people believe that these terrorists are so kind of like deep in the jungle where they cannot really penetrate. But how come it is so convenient and easy for Sheikh OsamaBin Gumi to be connecting with this terrorist? Then Gumi came out and said none of his meeting with the terrorist is unknown to the government of Nigeria. Therefore, they provided him security. He gets special protection here and there to meet with this terrorist. When Donald Trump said the killings of Christians in Nigeria by this Islamic jihadists, Islamic terrorists must stop, one of those who took it upon themselves, or like making it more or less like defending the terrorist, is Gumi. Gumi went on different media tour, like going to different media houses, not only to condemn the interest of Trump in what is happening in Nigeria. He was actually mobilizing Nigerians to rise up and reject any American intervention in this terrorism business in Nigeria. Well, he actually succeeded to some extent. He got to the point where, surprisingly, right, a lot of Nigerians, because they are Muslims, started speaking against this, planned attacks on or strikes against the terrorists in Nigeria. Because to them, it's going to be an attack on the northern Nigeria, or it's an attack on the Muslims, and the blah, the blah, the blah. So all that didn't stop the US government as well as the Nigerian government from, according to them and the report, from still striking the terrorists. Gumi wants what he called non-kinetic. That is, to pamper the terrorists, to negotiate with them, to plead with them, and give them whatever they want, and coexist with them. Striking them is completely against his own belief. But nobody needs his own belief or whatever his own interest is per se, if government really want to take care of this terrorism, so to say. So after the arrest of Maduro yesterday, the one that took over all the news, like all over the world, Gumi woke up this morning to level an allegation against, I believe, against Donald Trump. And what is that allegation? According to Gumi, he received a call from a top officer in Abuja. Top officer in this context is a military officer, that Gumi and many others have been marked for elimination by, according to him, by airstrikes, because they've sort of like tagged him as one of the Boko Haram members. I'm going to come back to it, okay? But let's start with that. Gumi raising alarm, calling on the Arewas to speak up that this is a lie against him. He is not a member of Boko Haram. Now he gets it from a very reliable source that America is coming for him. In that sense, they want to eliminate him and many others like him in Nigeria. Now, let me remind you of something. When Donald Trump redesignated Nigeria as a country of a particular interest, right? He said, or he gave them these conditions according to someone, which I'm going to share with you soon, right? When Rebadom and others went to America, to Washington, so they gave them some conditions. Top 3 of those conditions, according to a source, is that they, number 1, right, they must release, what's that guy name? That's Jackson, right? The guy that was condemned to death by the Sharia people because, he defended himself against the Fulani terrorists and all that, right? The killings of terrorists, the killings of Christians in Nigeria, especially the middle belt part of Nigeria and the northern part of Nigeria, must end, like stop. And the third one, Nigerian government must produce the names, the profiles of those who have been indicted as sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria, like with substantial evidence. So you get, Nigerian government must present those lists. Now, we don't know if America already have the list. From what Gumi is raising an alarm on, he is practically saying that America is likely going to take him out on a wrong intel, on a lie, on the lie that he is a member of Boko Haram. But I have never seen any record where Gumi's name is mentioned. That's the irony of it, right? Gumi, despite Gumi's public involvement and possibly private involvement with this terrorist and their sponsor, all right, behind the scene and even in the public, Gumi's name has never been mentioned in the names of a terrorist sponsor or those who have links with terrorists in Nigeria. Gumi was a lecturer, right, in Saudi Arabia. Gumi said teachings, extremism, got the government of Saudi Arabia so enraged that Gumi was actually linked to terrorism. Remember that Abdul Muttalab, what do you call that again now? The pant bomber or something. The guy that wanted to load that American, airline, right? So they said the guy got nurtured by Gumi. Meanwhile, Gumi was a lecturer in Saudi Arabia. Because of that, American government demanded for Gumi's arrest. Gumi was sentenced, Gumi was actually jailed in Saudi Arabia. So an arrangement was made later between Nigeria and Saudi Arabia. Gumi got deported back to Nigeria. Now, this one is an open record though, that linked Gumi to an act of terrorism. But in Nigeria, no, he's a free guy. He goes about, right, inciting people against those who are rejecting his idea of what we should do with terrorists that are killing our people up to this moment. So he goes on, he goes everywhere, he gaslights people, he speaks so much, so condescendingly, that if you listen to him, there is no way you won't feel like, what the heck is going on? But Nigerian government never really sees him as, they never really see him as, a terror, somebody with a terror connection. Now, America sees him as one, I believe, or he is only trying to raise a false alarm. Whatever it is, this was Gumi earlier today.
Arewa kuma kun san dukan ku ƙarya ne da ƙarya ka kawo hari, amma ina shugabannin me suka yi? Sun set. Ina malamai? Kawo muna hari kan ƙarya. Tsoratar da mu, a ba mu sharuɗai, sannan kuma a shigo da kuɗi ƙasar na a ce a wannan kashi na Kirista ne. Wani ƙasa ne ma za ta yadda a shigo da abu don a raba al'umma? Ba wata ƙasar da za ta yadda, sai ce a ko dai ka kawo dukan mu ko ka riƙe abinka ba masu koko. Amma duka an yi haka, ba mai ma magana, ba mai surutu, kowa ya can yana tsoro. Irin halin da muke ciki kenan a wannan ƙasa. Shi ma Lagos sun zo yakin 'yan ta'adda. To suwa suka yi 'yan ta'addan? Ai su ne. Su ne suke yi. Boko Haram. A ku ji wani abu. Nan ba sabon ba. Safiyar da za a sa bom din nan karfe 8 na dan kwanta sai aka bugo mu waya. Ba zan gaya muku wanda ya bugo mu waya ba. Sai ya ce mu gashi ana security briefings, wai an ce ina cikin list na Boko Haram wanda suka yi air marking za su yi eliminating. Daga Abuja ka bugo mu ana security meeting cewa an yi makin ina za a eliminating ina, kuma su waye Boko Haram. Sai kusan la'asar za mu je tafsiri a cikin azumi, zan yi projection.
Haram. So Gumi said he received a call from a top officer during their security meeting, where it was discussed and names were given, including himself, and they will actually use the airstrike. I don't think America will need the airstrike to take a Gumi. They didn't use the airstrike when they came for Maduro in that sense, did they? No, I don't think they did. No. So Gumi have access to a top officer in Abuja. Think about this, so that I'm about to sort of like dissect to. So according to Gumi, a top military officer called in from Abuja to warn him ahead that his name and others and the names of others have been penned down for elimination because through airstrike, because they are linked, or they are probably linked to Boko Haram. So Gumi have access to a top military officer who have access to an intel that ordinarily should never get to him. How many of such intels have these officers in the Nigerian military? And how many of Gumis do you have in Nigeria who also have access to some of these top military officers who can have access to top military intelligence and share them in tidbits, in snippets? So when you now talk about the military of Nigeria being compromised, where military officers have been sent to their death, where they ran into ambush. An intel that was supposed to have been, kind of like approved, authorized from the top echelon of the military. So, okay, the order has been given, now go, only for them to run into ambush. Ambush of ready-made, Fulani terrorists, Boko Haram terrorists, Lakurawa, ISWAP, and name it. I bet that is one part that many people actually won't really pay attention to until I am saying it right now. A lot of you are more interested in his panicky state where Gumi, they are coming for you. America come for him. Well, if they would ever come for him, but here is something. A top military officer, because if America is coming for anybody in this sense of their supposed fight against terrorism in Nigeria, that should be a top level military information, shouldn't it be? Now, if somebody like Gumi can tell the public that he is aware, and if that should be true. Now, me personally, I am not probably going to say, except for the publicly available record, sure you get, of Gumi's link or connection to terrorism and all that from Saudi Arabia. But in Nigeria, okay, apart from his connection again, knowing those, the locations of the terrorists, despite the fact that the Nigerian authority continue to make us believe that the terrorists are deep in the jungle, enough that nobody actually knows where they are. So playing Nigerians left, right, and center, we demand that somebody like Gumi should actually be questioned for what he knows and what he probably should share. Abi? But that has never happened. So maybe if the Americans finally grab him, like they did to Maduro, yeah, maybe he'll be able to actually share intel with them that he won't give to Nigeria. Because he's been calling now on the clerics, his fellow clerics in northern Nigeria, that they should speak up. It's a case of, if you don't speak up, once they come for me, they are coming for you too. Arewa, he cried out. He said, Arewa leaders, northern leaders, they should speak up. He's practically calling them to protect him. Please, you need to protect me. Oh. If this information I have been given, so many people are already saying that after Venezuela, maybe Nigeria is next. People who are taunting them about Donald Trump's action and what he can do and undo, right? Yeah, if you are spending a lot of time on social media, you are likely going to have encountered that. Those ones who are always saying, Trump. So when is going to be Nigeria's turn now? Stuff, right? Some are even saying, if they could go into Caracas to pick Maduro from the supposed presidential palace at the capital of the country, right? Then they could walk in straight and pick up a Kolu in Aso Rock. Because, if Maduro is called a drug lord and cartel leader, something like that, yeah? So there is another one in Nigeria. There are those who are taunting themselves on social media presently, right? So Gumi is asking the northern Arewa leaders to protect him, because if Nigeria should be next, true, this is not going to be just bombing terrorists or chasing them down to the Lake Chad, into the Sahel or whatever. This is also going to include or involve, their sponsor, spoke people, those who are their defenders, those who have used their positions either as traditional rulers, political office holders, or community leaders, whoever you are, religious leader, who have used this position to help build this cell of terrorists that are now killing Nigerians. So they will come for you. So it's a dog whistle. And the governor of Katsina State, he also in Hausa, also said, well, everybody is involved in this terrorism. And that is why it is not going to end. Have you heard that before? Yeah, that's the Boko states, Katsina, their own governor, something rather.
kuma ai na faɗa ana ta ganin har maganganu aka ta yi gidan rediyo kamar aiman ca na faɗa da kwai kowa cikin wannan hidimai akwai jami'an gwamnati akwai jami'an tsaro akwai sarakuna akwai malamai